So I'm gonna touch on my story and explain why you shouldn't quit your job because the real world, life out there, is not a joke. It's not a game to be dealt with. And this is from the POV of a 27-year-old man um, who now lives back at home with his mom and his grandma and sister. This is from the POV of someone who was making like 95K a year and now is working at a just delivering food, delivering pizza, making minimum wage here in New York. So I'm gonna touch on my story, but life's not a joke out there. It's a real world. That shit hit me. That shit really hit me. So I started working at this company for the last like say 2 years. I was working in wealth management, right? So for those of you that are not familiar, I was working under the financial advisor. So the advisor is the one who handles your money. So I dealt with clients who had anywhere from like 500K to this one client had 200 million. So it varies, but the minimum was like 500K. So pretty much the advisor handles the money, makes all the financial decisions, financial plans, all things of that nature, and I'm the person right under them. So I'm like their assistant essentially. They call it a service associate. So I'm doing all the service, opening all the accounts, transferring all the money, um, all the paperwork, doing all the data entry stuff. So the advisor does all the legwork, or the advisor does all the big talk, and I do all the legwork essentially to make it happen. I'm behind the scenes, the operations as you call it. So the and I was getting paid about 95K, 90 to 95K, and that was like my second or third job out of school. So it's not the best if you're in New York, but it's definitely better than what a lot of people are getting. So I'm definitely grateful for that. But the main reason why I dipped up out of there, like I couldn't stay there, bro. And I was there for like a year and a half, 2 years. The main reason was every single day, and I never experienced this feeling before, but every single day I would wake up just fucking angry at the world. I would wake up and just hate everything that was going on around me. Like just wake up in anger and frustration, throwing my sheets off the bed, like literally want to punch some shit. I just had so much anger and frustration. I'm like, I have to do this shit every day or 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, from 8:30 to five, roughly 5:30, depending on the day. I have to do this shit every day. This is my life. This is what I went to college for. This is what I went to this big ass university for. Paid all these loans for. I thought once you graduate the school system, once you graduate college, that's when the freedom hits you. But then it's just another cycle of you trapped in another rat race of, all right, now I got to do this shit every single day, go into the office or put on my button up, dress pants, dress shoes, going to drive an hour because I was like an hour 15 from the office. Drive an hour 15, go in, sit in my little cube, my little square that I would sit in every single day, talk to the same three or four people who were around me. Like you pass people in the hallway, you say hi and bye, but other than that, you don't really acknowledge those people. And yeah, you do what you gotta do, sit in your cube, you take your piss, your shit. That's the only times you really get up. And then lunch. But lunch, we just eat that shit at the desk. We didn't really take a lunch. I would just go to the cafeteria and bring it up to my desk and eat while I worked because anytime, at any moment, a client could call and I would have to be there to make sure they're all good. And that was just my day. It's just repeated every single day. And then I would leave, go to the boxing gym, for like 2 hours, and then drive an hour 15 back and get home at like 8:45, 9 o'clock, and then have like an hour to chill before I had to go to sleep. So I didn't have any, I guess, free time, but I didn't really care more so about the free time as more so I hated what I was doing. I don't mind putting in the extra effort to work on a goal or a task that I actually care about, But sitting in that cubicle, sitting in that office all day made me go fucking insane. Like, even though the pay was the 95K, which most people would be like, you're fucking stupid for leaving. Even though I was getting that pay, I just was like, nah, this can't be life. I'm looking around the people around me. I'm looking at my coworkers. I'm looking at everyone else. And I'm like probably on the younger side, and everyone's fucking miserable. Everyone got a fucking hunchback because their posture is like this all day on the computer screen. I'm like, yo, I cannot sit in front of a screen for 8 hours a day. I just simply can't do it. I put in the effort. I started feeling this way like probably like 7 months in, but I put in like an extra year before I actually left because I'm like, maybe something will change, but nothing changed. It's the same cyclical. It's the same cycle. This is literally the same cycle. You see, just reminds me of fucking Squidward when he moved to that new town and just going through the same cycle every day. Nothing exciting, nothing new, and I feel like time was just passing me by. I feel like time was going at 10x speed. I'm like, bro, it's already Christmas. Oh, it's already Easter. It's already summer. It's already, and nothing has changed. Like, yeah, I have more money in my bank account, but I don't really use the vacation time like that. I'm like, all right. So the moral, all right. So that's pretty much why I left the job. So you can kind of understand. I couldn't sit in the cubicle. I couldn't do that shit every single day, just doing paperwork, data entry, all that nonsense. But I was like, all right, let me take my chances. Let me quit this job without a backup plan, and this is going to be the first time I've ever like not following the structure or the plan that was laid out ahead of me. Because right when we're young, you go to elementary school, you go to middle school, you go to junior high, whatever, and then you go to high school, and then you go to college, and then you get a job. So I've pretty much followed that structure my whole life. I didn't really have a blip in the structure. You would say I'm a person who who followed all the rules, who didn't really go against what people said. So I followed that whole structure my entire life. So this me quitting my job 4 months ago back, or like 5 months ago now, me quitting my job was the first time me not following the game plan, the American dream that was laid out in front of me. So I left back in August. So I was back in the summer. It's January now. So a while ago, I left, no backup plan. And at this point in time, I'm back home with my mom in the basement, like your typical like bum, like chilling in the basement. But that's a nice basement though, finished basement. I got the little setup. But that's besides the point. So I moved back to the crib, and I'm like, all right. So I got some money to last a little bit. I'm like, all right, I got some funds in my account because like I said, I was making like 95K. I'm like, I wasn't spending a lot of money because I wasn't really going a lot of places, and I don't spend my money on clothes or like valuables on materialistic shit. I don't really care about that. I care more about, for me, if I'm gonna spend my money, I'd rather go places. But I wasn't really doing that, so I just had some money saved up. So I'm like, all right, let me figure out my life. I guess you would say midlife crisis as a 27-year-old man. Let me figure out my life, and I guess I have enough money set aside to do what I gotta do. And it's like a month, 2 months go by, and I'm like, all right, I'm handling all my expenses, all my loans, my car payments, my student loans, um, phone bills, shit like that. So I'm like getting by. I'm like, I just see my bank account decreasing, decreasing, decreasing. I'm like, fuck, I gotta start selling my stock, a little bit of that. I'm like, fuck, I gotta start figuring out what I'm gonna do now. Like, what I'm gonna do instead of this job, because I was going back to the drawing board. I was looking for a remote job, so something I could be at home. Because if I'm gonna be in front of a screen all day, I'd rather have the flexibility to be wherever I want to be. If I'm gonna stay within the finance world, which I was in, so I was looking at remote roles, not really getting any interviews because I guess the job market sucks, and my bank account was just decreasing. Like, fuck. And then it gets to a point, I'm like, all right, I gotta look for like at least like a side job in the meantime. until I can find like an actual career that I want to go through. Because I didn't really have the buffer that I thought. I didn't really have the down time to just chill. I wasn't chilling. I was kind of figuring out my plan and applying to places and just trying to take an alternative route rather than your standard 9 to 5. But it was taking a lot longer than I thought, and I didn't really have a plan, like I mentioned. So I'm like, ah. So I texted my girl, and her friend owns a restaurant. So I'm like, yo, can she hook me up? Like, can your friend hook me up like with a job there? Because I need bread. Like I don't really, my shit is it's about to start going negative real soon. I'm gonna start have to pull in from my retirement bread, and there's some tax implications when you do shit like that. I'm like, I don't want to really pull from these investments that I have, but when we start to do that, we got to start doing those things. But yeah, I get the job, and I'm just delivering. Like I'm working at a pizzeria, just delivering pizza. And I'm like, bruh, I'm making minimum wage, so minimum New York, $15 an hour. I'm doing this, and a couple loans come through, right? So I'm probably like 4 months in, 3 months in, a couple loans come through, and fucking, I don't have enough bread. I see my account, my Bank of America account is negative. I'm like, damn. So I'm like, all right, let me try to pick up some shifts. Let me try to do DoorDash. Let me try to do something. Because let me try to find another side gig, another side job. I looked on Upwork. I looked on literally anything. I was like, let me just start video editing. Let me learn how to edit. Let me start doing something because I just, these loans, these student loans, if, for those of you that know, they hit regardless. And I did the little forbearance period where I could like halt the loan for like a month because due to financial well being. So I did that for a little bit, but loans would hit negative in my account. I'm working at a pizzeria, $15 an hour. You can kind of see where their story's going, and I'm just like, is this the real world now? Real life is really hitting me right now. I'm working at a pizzeria slash restaurant. I went to UConn, went to this good school. I followed the game plan, and is my life harder now than it was back then when I was making the 95K at this job, which I fucking hated. I was miserable. I fucking despised my life. I'm like, is this real life? Like in my mind, I'm like, is this real life when I was working the 9 to 5? And it might sound against what you might think, but when I was working at well, like now I'm still at the restaurant, still at the pizzeria. I, even though I have less money in my pocket, I have less financial stability. I can't buy the things that I want to do. I still feel way better because I have the luxury to have more time where I can create content, whether it be YouTube. I'm taking this course where I can do online video editing. I'm trying to level up. I'm not just no bum just sitting on the side. I'm trying to level up and find a way that's not your traditional way of, in a sense, making money. And I also trade. I trade stocks. I trade options. Not so much options because I don't really have the capital, or I do have the capital, but I don't really have the the I don't have the risk to really trade options right now because I don't have the capital to take any crazy losses. And if, for those of you that trade options, you know it's very risky, very risky investment. So reality sets in. I look at my life. I look at where I'm at. Look at where I've been. I look at the people around me. I'm looking at LinkedIn, I'm looking at all these places, and I feel like I'm so behind in life. I feel like I had it, I had it all based on paper. It looked like I had it all, right? When making 95K, finance job, suit and tie, had my own little apartment. In most people's minds and on paper, it looks like I had the American dream. I had any dream that most people would want. But me right now, struggling, like trying to figure out kind of paycheck to paycheck, I enjoyed this time period more so than I did when I had it all, I guess, laid out for me. because it's showing me more so how to navigate through life, how to overcome obstacles, how to figure stuff out. Like when you have the stability of having that paycheck coming in every 2 weeks or every week, all right, I could spend X amount, X amount, X amount. But right now, I have the inconsistency of like these shifts. Don't really have money coming in. Say like I have a car fucks up. That's a large chunk of money that I don't know how to really replenish, right? Because I don't have no stable income, and I'm just kind of rolling with the punches, kind of just figuring it out. And I've learned so much within this 4 or 5 month period than I have in like years of just my professional job experience. And I've been in out of school for like 5 years now, and school doesn't really teach you real life how to apply things in real life, depending on where you go to school for. But life is life is a little tricky, man. Once you quit your job, my advice for you, if you're thinking about quitting your job to tackle a dream or to tackle anything, I would say in my previous video that I dropped, I said just 100% go for it. And I still follow that rule, because when you just jump with no parachute, you got to figure it out, or otherwise you're gonna die. You you figure out how to figure things out. You figure out how to get by. You figure out how to make things happen. You figure those things out. When you just take a leap and go full force at things, you figure it out. And that's one thing that I'm very grateful for. Like I have the stability to really go back home, live with my mom, and like have a roof over my house or over my head. Like most people don't have that luxury. If you don't have that luxury to fall back on like your parents or like a relative or something like that, and you want to quit your job, I would say have some sort of plan. Whereas you have a good amount of money that can last you to like a year for your dreams or whatever you're working on the side to come into fruition, or have some sort of side job like DoorDash, or just do something, a bartender, do something where you can make a little bit, just have some money. It's obviously not going to be the money you were making before you quit your job, but just have some money to cover your food, some expenses. That's like, if I had to go back a couple months, I would say I would at least have something lined up. I didn't really have nothing lined up for like the first 2 months. I was just kind of chilling on the money that I've had, just like in my account, in my savings account. Didn't really want to pull from any investments. But my message to you, like if I could leave you with anything just based off my story, real life is gonna hit you. It's gonna hit you. Problems are gonna arise. Unexpected circumstances will come about. But that's gonna happen regardless whether you have a stable income, whether you have a stable job, you have a stable whatever. It's just more so you have more issues financially. But once you do quit your job, you learn how to figure it out. You learn how to make things happen. You learn how to put the things into fruition. You just learn. You just have to learn. You force yourself to learn because you don't have a backup plan. So I would say go for that. If you want to quit your job, go for it. But real life is gonna hit you. It's gonna hit you. And the things, those little minor things, those expenses, like you don't realize how much you spend until you quit your job. I'm like, fuck, I didn't realize how much I fucking spent on nonsense until I literally quit the job. So I hope that helps provide you some value on whether or not you should quit your job, whether or not you should go full steam ahead at whatever you want to do. That's not your typical 9 to 5. And last thing actually, and I want this to stick with you. Your time here on earth is very limited. The point of us being on this earth is to make moments. It's for us to make opportunities happen. It's for us to grow. And if you look at anyone who's made it successful or who's made it big in their life, they had a period where they were struggling. They had a period where they had turmoil. They had these things. So just remind yourself this is just part of your story right now. That's gonna build you up later on in life. So even though it might suck right now if you quit your job or you think about quitting, just know it's gonna get better. You're gonna figure it out. You're gonna learn how to maneuver because you have no other choice but to do that. And you're only here on this planet one time, so don't waste it doing something you're miserable at. Miserable at. And I'll leave you with that.